Hi everyone, my name is Ken.
I'm David.
And behind the camera,
I'm Wilson.
And we're Watch Hags. Thanks very much for tuning in and listening to us today. This is the first episode of Watch Hags. And I think we're three buddies that I think what we found is every time we gathered together, which is more frequent in these days, we basically talked about watches all the time. And we found that we had an interesting point of view about watches and horology in general, and wanted to do this to record the conversations down, to share our point of view, and to also hear about what others thought about what we had to say. So this is our first episode today, so what we want to do is just talk a little bit about our origin story, what got us interested in watches and horology in the first place. And there's probably no better place to start than with your story, David.
All right, thanks, Ken. So I'm excited to share this story because all along I've always had in my mind what I understood as why do I like watches so much and where it all began. And so in the past couple of days I've been thinking about how I wanted to share the story. So it's now really kind of putting everything into context of how did this all begin, and it really goes back to the fact that I'm a child of the 80s. And so growing up in that time,
the best decade, David.
I still think so. So going back to that time, kids were being bombarded with adverts for anything and everything. And for whatever reason, Swatch watches just intrigued me right off the bat.
Yeah.
And at that time, growing up in Charleston, South Carolina, we wouldn't have, the stores didn't have them yet. Right, and so I was asking around, where can I find one? And as luck would have it, our family friend and an auntie of ours, she was getting ready for a trip to Europe. And so I said to her, look, when you're there and you're looking around and shopping, please bring me back a Swatch watch. I don't care which one, just find one and bring it back. And it'll be my birthday, Christmas gift, all wrapped into one, and I'll love you forever. And so she gets back after her trip. I was eager to see her, but also more eager to see my gift. And she hands me my first watch, my first Swatch watch. Now, mind you, at that time, right, I had no idea, how big it was, how it fit on me, even what color it was.
Yeah.
And so she presented me with a Swatch watch from the 1985 spring-summer collection, and they called it affectionately the pinstripe. And luckily, I actually have it, right? And I still have it, rather. And so we can talk about this later on. Yeah, exactly. So this right here from 1985, when I was how old was I back then? Just almost 10 years old. And now, of course, the battery's dead, but I need to find a battery to put it in there, see if it still works. But this is what began it all for me. And I remember as a kid and being chastised by my teachers while in class, just looking at it, like, David, what are you looking at? You should be looking at the board, not the watch that you have on your wrist. So this was what really started it for me. Now, of course, back then as a child, I don't know what a quartz is, I don't know what mechanical is, none of that. I just liked the color, and also the fact that I was the cool kid in school who had, I think at that time, maybe one of the two kids had them, right? And I had my Swatch watch. And again, I was surprised that I found this. A couple years back when I was visiting my parents, going through and cleaning up things, I just stumbled across this, and I was like, wow, that brought back a lot of memories, a lot of. Now, subsequently since then, I actually did get a couple other Swatch watches as gifts, which I still have actually. We can show again later on. But yeah, the Swatch watch.
Yeah.
And just something interesting I found out the other day as I was reading about it was that originally Swatch, SWATCH, originally was meant to be second watch because they positioned it as a cheap, affordable, fashionable, fun watch that you can wear outside of the office or wherever you want it to be. Yeah. So to me, I still hold this very near and dear to me, and I was very surprised, and I'm glad I found it. How about you, Ken?
Great. Well, David, for me, watches, as far back as I can remember, was always the present that my grandfather used to give to a lot of us boys and as we were growing up. So I think, we have to blame him for this obsession. And what started out as little Mickey Mouse watches then progressed as we moved into the 80s, with Casio and Citizen. They used to have watches that could start to then have a stopwatch, measure time. There was even this one that had a calculator as well too. So I think that's all what started it. Right? Looking forward to the next present. It was the most common present that he used to give out to us. But I think the other piece for me, that's particularly special as I grew up was, I think watches to me represent two very important things. Right, one is time. Right, time is just such an incredible thing, right? It's just so special and so rare. Each of us only has a limited amount of time, and to measure it to obsession is fantastic. For me, it's almost magical. And the second bit, just as magical, is mechanics, right? The fact that these things are made, and some of them, those Mickey Mouse watches and Casios were simple, but as we progressed, just to have a machine that without any electronics and so on can just measure time so effectively, as well as many other things like the date, even do a stopwatch is just phenomenal. And the fact that these can last so long, I think we're in a modern age now. That's why I feel the 80s was such a great decade, but everything is used once, twice, or and it's thrown out. And I think I've seen and I have watches that are older than me and still tell the time accurately. I think that's just something special about that. And and that brings me to today. And David, we can't have a first episode without some watches. So what are you wearing today?
So over the past few weeks, amongst my collection, I've really been gravitating back to something that I came across some years back and was very fortunate to finally get one on my own. And it is a rather unusual Omega Speedmaster.
Yeah.
It is the Omega Speedmaster Moon Phase, which is unusual for, if you call it the Omega Speedmaster Professional. And it comes in a white dial with some blued hands and also blued indices. And this one, I find to be probably one of the most comfortable to wear, whether on the strap or also on the bracelet. And so this is, for some reason, I just really gravitated towards it and really wearing it a lot for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And what we can do next time, hopefully, is talk a little bit more about it, because I think it's a really interesting backstory. And for those that are wondering, it is the Omega Speedmaster Professional. The reference is 3575.20. And how about you?
Okay. Well, David, I've got on me today a Zenith Captain Windsor annual calendar with an El Primero movement. It's something I've had for many years, which is one of the reasons why I like horology in the first place. Right, that a mechanical device can basically be working after so long. But this particular reference is also a collaboration. I just love collaborations between Zenith and an organization called the Musée International de Horologie. And specifically the curator of that organization called Ludwig Oschland. And he basically developed an annual calendar, which is usually a very expensive complication on a watch, with just nine moving parts, as opposed to most annual calendars, which need something in the region of 40.
You see that, it's 9 moving parts just for the annual calendar.
Yep, exactly. And then the El Primero itself below that, right? So you've got something that can basically tell you the date accurately for a whole year, accounting for all the different 30 and 31 days and months, and you just need to change it during the February month, and it will basically do that for the rest of the year.
So thanks, Ken, for sharing with us a little bit about your Zenith.
No problem.
Yep. And I really hope that today's episode, our first one, was interesting, not just for us, but also for the people out there.
Yeah.
And so we're looking forward to what we can talk about next. And I think will be a good next episode for us is to dive a little more deeper into why my Omega and why his Zenith is his favorite watch at the moment. And so that we can reserve our next conversation on that. But before we go there, though, we do want to thank everybody for watching today. Please subscribe and like. And I think also more importantly is in the comments, share with us what you think. What could we be doing better, or what watches you may want to know more about. But I think with that, I'm really eager to go back and for us to talk about Again, why is my Omega Legends your most favorite watch at the moment? And we can talk more about that next time. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again.